The genre of Menippean satire is a form of satire, usually in prose, which has a length and structure similar to a novel and is characterized by attacking mental attitudes rather than specific individuals or entities. Other features found in Menippean satire are different forms of parody and mythological burlesque, a critique of the myths inherited from traditional culture, a rhapsodic nature, a fragmented narrative, the combination of many different targets, and the rapid moving between styles and points of view. The term is used by classical grammarians and by philologists mostly to refer to satires in prose. Cf. the verse Satires of Juvenal and his imitators. Typical mental attitudes attacked and ridiculed by Menippean satires are pedants, bigots, cranks, parvenus, virtuosi, enthusiasts, rapacious and incompetent professional men of all kinds, which are treated as diseases of the intellect. The term Menippean satire distinguishes it from the earlier satire pioneered by Aristophanes, which was based on personal attacks. Terminology. The form is named after the Greek cynic parodist and polemicist Menippus, 3rd century BC. His works, now lost, influenced the works of Lucian and Marcus Terentius Varro. Such satires are sometimes also termed Varronian satire. M. H. Abrams classifies Menippean satire as one form of indirect satire, the category opposed to the formal satire of direct criticism in the first person. Paul Salzman, taking Menippean satire as a genre as rather ill-defined, describes it as a mixture of allegory, picaresque narrative and satirical commentary. Northrop Frye found the term cumbersome and in modern terms rather misleading, and proposed as replacement the term anatomy, taken from Burton's Anatomy of Melancholy. In his theory of prose fiction, it occupies the fourth place with the novel, romance and confession. Classical tradition. Varro's own 150 books of Menippean satires survive only through quotations. The genre continued with Seneca the Younger, whose apocolocyntosis, or pumpkinification, is the only near-complete classical Menippean satire to survive. It consisted in an irreverent parody of the deification of Emperor Claudius. The Menippean tradition is also evident in Petronius's Satyricon, especially in the banquet scene, Scena Trimalchionis, which combines epic form, tragedy, and philosophy with verse and prose, and in Apuleius's Golden Ass, the form is combined with the comic novel. Later examples include the Consolation of Philosophy of Boethius and the Caesars of Julian the Apostate. Later examples. The form was revived during the Renaissance by Erasmus, Burton, and Lawrence Sterne, while 19th examples include the John Buncle of Thomas Amory and the Doctor of Robert Southey. The 20th century saw renewed critical interest in the form, with Menippean satire significantly influencing postmodern literature. Contemporary scholars including Frye classify the following works as Menippean satires: François Rabelais, Gargantua and Pantagruel, 1564. John Berkeley, Euphormionis Satyricon, 1605. Joseph Hall, Mundus Alterae Idem, 1605. Robert Burton, The Anatomy of Melancholy, 1621. Jonathan Swift, A Tale of a Tub and Gulliver's Travels. Voltaire, Candide, 1759. William Blake, The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, 1794. Thomas Love Peacock, Nightmare Abbey, 1818. Thomas Carlyle, Sartor Sortis. Charles Kingsley, The Water Babies. Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland. Aldous Huxley, Point Counterpoint, 1928. Nikolai Gogol, Dead Souls. D. Juna Barnes, Nightwood, 1936. James Joyce, Finnegan's Wake, 1939. Flann O'Brien, The Third Policeman, 1939. Kurt Vonnegut. Cat's Cradle, 1963. Thomas Pynchon. The Crying of Lot 49, 1966. Douglas Adams. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 1979. Jacob M. Apple. The Man Who Wouldn't Stand Up, 2012. Dave Eggers. The Circle, 2013. According to P. Adams' Sicknian visionary film, Menippean became the dominant new genre in avant-garde cinema at the turn of the century. Filmmakers he cited include Yvonne Rainer, Sidney Peterson, Michael Snow, and Hollis Frampton. Marshall McLuhan also made extensive use of Menippean satire. As he himself suggested, most of my writing is Menippean satire, presenting the actual surface of the world we live in as a ludicrous image. Quote, Bakhtin's theory. Menippean satire plays a special role in Mikhail Bakhtin's theory of the novel. In Problems of Dostoevsky's Poetics, Bakhtin treats Menippean satire as one of the classical, serio-comic genres, alongside Socratic dialogue and other forms that Bakhtin claims are united by a carnival sense of the world, wherein carnival is the past millennia's way of sensing the world as one great communal performance, and is opposed to that one-sided and gloomy official seriousness which is dogmatic and hostile to evolution and change. Authors of Menippean in Bakhtin's sense include Voltaire, Diderot, and E. T. A. Hoffmann. For Bakhtin, the novels of Dostoevsky represent the highest point in the development of the genre. In a series of articles, Edward Milwaukee and Robert Rawdon Wilson, building upon Bakhtin's theory, have argued that Menippean is not a period-specific term, as many classicists have claimed, but a term for discursive analysis that instructively applies to many kinds of writing from many historical periods including the modern. As a type of discourse, Menippean signifies a mixed, often discontinuous way of writing that draws upon distinct, multiple traditions. It is normally highly intellectual and typically embodies an idea, an ideology or a mindset in the figure of a grotesque, even disgusting, comic character. The power of very physical images to satirize, or otherwise comment upon, ideas lies at the heart of Menippean satire. Fry's definition. Critic Northrop Frye said that Menippean satire moves rapidly between styles and points of view. Such satires deal less with human characters than with the single-minded mental attitudes, or humors, that they represent. The pedant, the braggart, the bigot, the miser, the quack, the seducer, etc., Frye observed. He illustrated this distinction by positing Squire Weston, from Tom Jones, as a character rooted in novelistic realism, but the tutors Thwackum and Square as figures of Menippean satire. See also, Satire Menippean, 1594, a satirical work in France during the Wars of Religion. Notes. Bakhtin, Mikhail. Problems of Dostoevsky's Poetics. Translated by Carol Emerson. Minnesota UP 1984. Branham, Albrecht and Kinney. Daniel. 1997. Introduction to Petronius's Satirica pp. XIIIXXVI. Carpersian. Theodore D. A Hand to Turn the Time. The Menippean Satires of Thomas Pynchon. Rutherford. Fairleigh Dickinson UP. 1990. Milwaukee. Edward J. and Robert Rawdon Wilson. 2002. A Measure for Menippean Discourse. The Example of Shakespeare. Poetics Today 23. 2. Summer 2002. 291-326. Wilson, Robert Rawdon and Edward Milwaukee. 1996. Troilus and Cressida. Voices in the Darkness of Troy. Jonathan Hart. ed. Reading the Renaissance. Culture. Poetics and Drama. New York, Garland, 1996. 129 to 144. 234 to 240. Wilson, Robert Rawdon, 2002. The Hydra's Tale. Imagining Disgust. U. Alberta Press, 2002. Wilson, Robert Rawdon, 2007. On Disgust. A Menippean Interview. Canadian Review of Comparative Literature 34. 2. June, 2007. pp. 203 to 213. Disgust. A Menippean Interview. Further reading. Budo, B. M. Driol, and P. Lambersy. Carnavalet Monde Renverse. Études sur la Satire Menippean. Ed. Frank Lestringant and Daniel Menninger. Geneva, Droz. 1986. 105 to 118. Courtney, E. Parody and Literary Allusion in Menippean Satire. Philologists 106. 1962. 86 to 100. Carpersian, Theodore D. Of Models, Muddles, and Middles. Menippean Satire and Pynchon's v. Pynchon Notes 17. Fall, 1985. 3 to 14. Kirk, Eugene P. Menippean Satire. An Annotated Catalogue of Texts and Criticism. New York, Garland, 1980. Martin, Marshall. Préface in Satire Menippean de la Vertu du Catholicon d'Espagne et de la Tenue des Stats de Paris. Martin Marshall. Édition critique de Paris. H. Champion. 2007. Textes de la Renaissance. N degree 117. 944 p. ISBN 9782745314840. Pavluk, Katja, von Atlantis bis Zamonien, von Menippos bis Moers. Die Zamonien Romain Walter Moers im Kontext der Menippean Satire. Wurzburg, Königshausen and Newman, 2016. 35 to 103. ISBN 978-3-8260-5899-8. Payne, F. Anne. Chaucer and the Menippean Satire. Madison, U of Wisconsin p. 1981. Relihan, Joel. 1993. Ancient Menippean Satire. Baltimore. Tristram Shandy. Digressions. And the Menippean Tradition. Scholia Satirica 1.4. 1975. 3 to 16. Sherbet, Gary. Menippean Satire and the Poetics of Wit. Ideologies of Self-Consciousness in Dunton. Durfee and Stern. Peter Lang. 1996. Weinbrot, Howard D. Menippean Satire Reconsidered. Baltimore. Johns Hopkins Univ. Press. 2005. Veen, Jean. Culture et histoire dans la satire Menippean. Études sur la satire Menippean. Ed. Frank Lestringant and Daniel Menninger. Geneva, Droz. 1985. 151 to 99.